it is time to get into the real meat of it. We are going to start off our math talks before we get into how this all relates back to Pokemon with critical points. What critical points are, let's actually click on the screen. These are your absolute maximums, absolute minimums, local maximums, and local minimums. An absolute maximum is the highest point on the graph. So if we look, well, there is the peak. It is at the coordinates 416. Absolute minimum is the exact opposite. It's the lowest point on the graph. In this case, it is -1, -4. Local maxes and mins are a little bit different. These are the highest or lowest points in a section of the graph. So if we start off with this point in the middle of our graph, what we see is that it's the highest point around in that area. So the local maximum is at -2, 4. Then to the left of that, we get a local minimum at -6, -3. At that section, in between these two areas, that is the lowest point there is. So that is a local minimum at -6, -3. Next up, we have an absolute minimum to -6 because that is the lowest point on the entire graph. So that's the definitions, but what do they all have in common? If we look, all of these have one thing in common. They all have a horizontal line as their slope. It flatlines, it plateaus. So it flatlines and has a slope of 0. That's really, really important for us to know. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. So we can always, always, always find a critical point when we have a slope of 0. So how do we find a slope at a point? Well, that is what we are doing next time. Differentiation gives us that answer. So let's take a look at our next video, and I will see you there.